Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics Unnamed One. The Unnamed One was the subscription-exclusive figure for 2014, and he was kept a complete mystery until he started shipping. Now that he is showing up in mailboxes, we finally get to look at this mystery character. As you can see, he comes in the standard Masters of the Universe Classics blister card packaging. The back shows off a selection of other figures in the line, as well as gives us a brand new bio to explain who the Unnamed One is, who turns out to be Gorpo. So, here's a brief history lesson on the Unnamed One. The character's name was dropped in a mini-comic from the vintage toy line. He was referenced by King Hiss as the person that the Snake Men serve. The Unnamed One was never actually revealed beyond this reference. So Mattel opted to finally reveal the look of the character by giving us an action figure. As it turns out, he's an evil Trollan named Gorpo. Now, this is another reference that was meant to be a bit of a nod to longtime fans. In the original series Bible for the Filmation cartoon series, Orko's name was originally going to be Gorpo. Of course, that name was changed, but Gorpo sort of became a character in his own right years later in the Masters of the Universe fan community, being represented by a Trollan wearing a bluish-purple outfit. So essentially, Mattel was trying to give fans a nod by making Gorpo a real character in the line and giving him an action figure, while at the same time making him the big bad who created the Snake Men. This really hasn't been well received by many fans. But enough on that. Let's just focus on the action figure itself. As you can see, he is essentially an evil-looking Trollan, but he is much more detailed than Orko was. The overall sculpt on this guy is really good. The design actually has a very 2000X vibe to it. He's wearing dark purple robes that are tattered and torn along the bottom. He has a nicely detailed vest featuring a red skull in the center of his torso, and a belt going around his waist that features nice little sculpted on details like pouches and a holstered knife. His hands have sharp, evil-looking fingernails. He has long, pierced, pointed ears and evil-looking yellow eyes that almost appear to be glowing from the deep black of his face. And the purple hood on his head is actually shaped much like Orko's hat, but looks as if the brim has been ripped, and that way it kind of hangs around his face more like a hood, which I thought was a really cool detail. And the paintwork is nice and clean, with very dark tones that help add to the overall evil vibe of the action figure. Alright, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Gorpo here, shall we? So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at the articulation on this guy. It's not much different than what we saw with Orko, but it works a little different because of the outfit he's wearing. What I mean by that, for example, the head, it is on the standard ball joint that we always get, but the sculpt of that hood there, the way it kind of comes down on the back and on the front, it does hinder the movement. It kind of hits that collar that's going around in there, that little vest thing that he's wearing. So you can turn the head left and right, but it does kind of scrape against it, and of course moving the head up and down doesn't really work that well. It's very similar to like the females with the long hair. You can see that it kind of hits the back, so you're not going to get too much movement out of the head, unfortunately. Otherwise, the shoulders are ball jointed, so you can lift them, you can rotate them, you can swivel them right above the elbow. You got your standard elbow bend. You also got swivels at the wrists there, and then that's pretty much going to do it, aside from the fact that you can kind of twirl them on his little flight stand there. Now, of course, he does feature a removable head, just like we've seen with all the other figures, because it is still that standard ball joint. So you can still just pop the head off there. Same size ball joint we've seen on all the other Classics figures, so you can swap these heads if you want to. And of course, that's going to allow us to pop on his alternate head that also is included with the figure. Gorpo's interchangeable head features what looks like a knight's helmet, presumably for going into battle. It continues that dark paint tone seen on the rest of the figure, being a bit of a gunmetal color with some metallic shine to it. The sculpt is really nice actually, featuring a cool tooth design going over his mouth and what almost looks like Hordak or Horde Prime's face on the forehead, which is a bit interesting. It's a great sculpt, but I don't really like the way this one looks on the Trollan body as much as I like that hooded head. the hooded one just seems to work a lot better, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I almost prefer putting this helmeted head on a Skeletor body to kind of create a whole new character. I feel like it works a lot better. Now, aside from that interchangeable head, Gorpo has several other accessories. First of all, he includes this great magic blast effect, something I'm always a fan of. It's a translucent green plastic, and the blast forms several snakes at the end. It's got a hole that is meant to form-fit to his left hand, which is the open one, and that way it makes it look like he's firing off the blast. Now, it is a pretty big blast effect, so it does cause some balance issues, but with a little bit of work, you can get him to stand with it just fine. He also includes this really cool golden wand, featuring a great snake sculpt and a translucent green gem in the center. It's made of a nice sort of rigid-like plastic with just a little bit of flexibility to it, and he can hold it very nicely in his right hand. And of course, since he floats similar to Orko, he comes with the same styled flight stand. Although this time, instead of being ball-jointed like Orko's, it's just a peg like we saw with Cowl. It plugs firmly into the peg hole on the bottom of the figure and gives the figure a really great hovering look. And finally, he comes with a brand new mini-comic featuring an all-new story. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Here's Gorpo alongside Orko. Seeing these two side by side, you can really see the size and style difference between the two characters. When you reveal a design for a mystery character from 30 years ago, there is just no way you can live up to the expectations. I feel like this figure was doomed from the beginning, as everyone probably had their own ideas of what the Unnamed One might look like, and were going to be disappointed regardless. And I can almost guarantee most people didn't expect him to be Trollan, which was an extra sting. Making him Gorpo might have been a neat nod to fans in the know, but making him such an important character was just not going to work out. I personally don't like the idea of an evil Trollan mastermind, similar to how I hate the idea of an evil Orko in the comics. In fact, I'd probably have preferred to never even learn what the Unnamed One looks like. But, having said that, and speaking simply on this toy, this is a great action figure. The figure features almost 100% new tooling, the sculpt, and the paint, and the design are all really cool. I actually like the look of this guy. He makes for a really great action figure. So despite how you feel about the story, it's a neat toy. And I really love this evil Trollan action figure. Gorpo was the subscription exclusive in 2014 and shipped out to subscribers in March. Happy hunting, and until next time.